Mitch from PickDogs.com and SportsChatPlace.com. Steve Monahan, Rod Zawacki, Chris Ruffalo, the Puck Dogs, all with me here today. Of course, it's the weekend, so that always means the big show. But we're going to change these shows for the time being. Of course, we're always a work in progress. We always adjust and work on the fly, even when sports are going on, which is most of the time in my lifetime. It's only been a few major work stoppages. We've had NFL strike, scab games. We've had Major League Baseball strike, canceling of the World Series. We've had hockey strikes, canceling, no one noticed. They've had all sorts of things like this. Olympic boycott, another thing no one noticed, right? It's like, so these things have happened, and, they will pass, and, we're going to be better for it because our premium area, our multi-capper premium area is complete. I saw it yesterday. I've been messing around with it. I'm going to show these guys probably either later on this week. It's kind of like the tweaking needs to be done, but it's like it's done. It's just a matter of pictures and stuff of other stuff. And I don't know. Some guys have. We're trying to look at what everyone else is doing, what we like and what we don't like. We're not going to reinvent the wheel here, but we're not going to. I mean, it's not stealing anyone's idea. It's basically a lot of it was my idea, so it doesn't really matter. But anyways, what we're gonna do with these shows is answer some of the questions that I get asked the most, and that's how do you win at sports? How do you bet on sports for a living? How do you do that? And what we're gonna do is some of the shows are gonna be more general, and some of them are gonna be more specific. If there's any shows that you guys want us to do on this subject, on any of these subjects, leave them in the Facebook group, or leave them in the Facebook group, or put them in the comments here, and we could do. Definitely, we're going to have some time to do some more of these shows. We have NFL draft coming up and stuff as well, so we'll do some of that coverage as well. But in the meantime, we're going to do baseball betting, and it's definitely one of the sports that over the years I've done okay at. I've done all right at it. Everyone has winning streaks and losing streaks, but I've done, I think better than most. And I think one of the things that I've done is I think I'm not here to pat myself on the back or anything like that, but I think I've made a lot of people better baseball bettors since we started doing the live show. And it definitely brings some things into focus that a lot of people don't look at. And I know that, it's like I'm off the beaten path in general, in life and in sports and everything. I'm definitely off the beaten path. And I think that some of my baseball betting strategy definitely comes into play. So I know that Rod is awesome at it. Actually, that Dog of the Day heater that happened a few years ago, where I won, 40 in a row or something like that, was in baseball. So, it's that type of sport. And everyone knows I don't do it by betting big favorites. But Steve probably has more actual baseball knowledge than the rest of us combined, as far as, the fundamentals of the game and how the game is played. He's probably a better baseball player than the three of us combined also. So Steve was on our softball team. Steve was one of our ringers in our ringer softball team in college. We had a team of ringers, which was pretty rare. We had
nice to have a team of ringers finally and be on that side.
Yeah, it was definitely fun for me being on the ringer team. So we probably had 12 ringers. But anyways. Rod has had a lot of success. I've seen Rod in some capper challenges and other groups throughout the years. He's done extremely well in baseball as well. Rod, to start things off, when you're just open up the page, on an average baseball day, and of course, the first week of the season is always hard. No matter what season it is, in the first couple weeks. What's one key element that you look at? We're going to kind of go around the horn, and we'll probably do multiple shows on betting baseball. So, Rod, what do you think? What's just name one,
For me, the first thing, early season baseball, that first 2 months, okay, road dogs are big. I like the road dog the first 2 months, because teams are just getting used to each other. They're just starting to play, and over the last decade, the road dog in the first 2 months of MLB is hitting at a 48% rate in the first 2 months over the last 10 years.
All right, so for those of you that aren't as familiar with betting baseball, the thing about 48%, a 48% dog in baseball as opposed to 48% in football or basketball is there's no point spread in baseball. So you're getting plus odds on that 48%. And on a road team and a dog, and especially in the right situation, we've had some, this is how we play. So we have some of these right situations, throughout the years. You could go 48%, but really when it comes to the money, you could be up 4 or 5 times your money on a 48% in baseball. It's not like football. You have 48% plus the juice. You're dead man. But you're not dead. You're just you got a little bit of wood to chop to get back to even. But in baseball, 48%. If you're picking dogs, you're most likely up substantially at that point. So there it is. Road dogs. How about you, Chris? What's one thing that you look at?
Yeah, early season I'm on road dogs as well, but I also look for more solid starting pitching. I mean, like I look for guys that are experienced, like guys like your aces. You have your Max Scherzers, you have your Madison Bumgarners, guys that are just like you're probably going to get heavy lines with them even early on. But that's why you have the run line to sort of back you up on it. I mean, starting pitching is just one of the more important facets in my opinion. I mean, these are the guys that are going to go 6, 7 innings even early on in the season, while teams are still trying to get their feet wet, knowing how to play with each other, trying to get their bats back in line.
All right, I'm less of a starting pitching guy. I only have certain guys that are my starting pitchers, but I guess if you have your guys, like we'll go 6, 7 innings, and have a bullpen. We're not talking Jacob deGrom here. We're talking like real bullpen. Definitely a factor. You get a Randy Johnson out there, Justin Verlander, right? When he's rolling in the second half of the season, where he goes through like a month where it's like, oh my God, it's like you see him out there at minus 280, and it's like I can't even bet the other side, It's like, because it's just you don't even want to be anywhere. It's like he might not get the win, but you don't want to be anywhere near that thing, It's like. So I'm with you there. How about you, Steve? What are you looking at? Like, early baseball, late baseball?
I kind of, piggyback on Chris and Rod. I mean, 2 valid points, but I also think weather factors in early on, especially in the Northeast. It's typically pretty cold out. It's not, like you sitting in Hawaii. So, starting pitching, is a factor. But again, the game has changed and evolved over the last, decade or 5 years, where, it's power and strikeouts from the hitters. It's so guys are, scoring a lot of runs. They're looking for the 3-run homer, a 2-run homer, that type of thing. So, run differential becomes a factor there, and that's one aspect.
I would say that like of the last 25 years, the managers that really have changed the game, Lou Piniella and Tony La Russa, guys that basically created this bullpen monster and pitching change, took pitching changes to a whole new level. And then Earl Weaver, who his strategy is what they play today, right? I mean, Earl Weaver is like, I'll take 1 million strikeouts. All I need is a couple 3-run homers. It's like that's all I need. Got Jim Palmer, I got Dave McNally. It's like all I need is a 3-run homer, and I'm going to win. And it's like I think we see that strategy across the board today. So for me, I think everyone hears this from me every single baseball season, and I'm going to say it again. The very best baseball teams, the very, very best of the best, lose 62 times a year. The very best, 100 game winner. If you win 100 games, which is maybe 2 teams a season, usually 1 or sometimes even 0, okay? The very, very best lose at least 62 times a year. Most of them even more than that. So finding that team that's overbet, and it's usually, we're not going to single anybody out, but it's usually the Chicago Cubs and the Boston Red Sox. Okay, it's usually teams like that, big market teams, big money teams. Philadelphia Phillies last year, right? Big money, big name, big market teams, fading the crap out of them in the right spots. You know, when Andrew Kashner gets traded to the Red Sox and he's minus 180. I mean, that is, you know, everyone says, I need a surefire lock. I need, you know, I lost all this money with somebody else, whatever. That is your opportunity to make that money up. When Andrew Kashner walks out onto the mound and he's minus 180 odds, okay? It's like, I don't care if he's playing the Orioles. I don't care. I don't care if, but they're playing the Orioles. You know, I don't care. You know, but they're playing, you know, I don't care. It's Andrew Kashner in a professional baseball game. He's going to get rocked. Rod, a little Kashner for you.
Okay.
What else you
For me,
got
I
for us,
started the
Rod?
regular.
I
For
really
me, I
like that
started-
road team. Dog. You know, I'm with you on that one. And I think there's certain spots where the road teams eat early too. I think Colorado is one of those spots because Colorado late in the season is impossible to beat on the road. You know, but you can get them early.
For me, I make a pitchers list, and I put pitchers that I like and pitchers that have burnt my butt. So I kind of make it as a list at the start of the year. I'm like, okay, this guy looks pretty good, and I actually bet on him, but he burned you. So I put him in a burnt list. Like, okay, this guy's burnt me, and I write him in a list. You burn me once, okay, I might go back to you. You burn me twice, that's it. I'm not betting on you.
So is this starting pitchers or bullpens as well? Because like Familia, I mean, he's roasted me, right? I mean, he's used me, he's abused me, he's tossed me to the curb, he's taken my circled winners and turned them into losers. There's no lead that is safe, right? With Familia, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing.
By
Nothing
the
is safe,
middle of-
right? I mean,
By about the middle of the season, usually I have a nice fade list where you find pitchers that you're like, oh, that guy's pitching? Okay, I'm taking the other
who
team.
was the Texas reliever that was walking in everybody and then they traded him to the Giants? Finally, oh my God, did this guy just destroy me?
It was Sam Dyson.
What was his name, Chris?
Was it Sam Dyson?
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Hate his guts. Nothing personal.
I still
Just
remember
hate your
him for
guts.
giving up the. I still remember him for giving up the bat flip home run in the ALDS.
Oh God, man! Out with the bat flip walks he gave up, man. Like, I mean, 7-run lead. You know, not safe with this guy. You know.
How about Edwin Diaz on the Mets last year? You know, this is, you know, an all-star reliever they get from Seattle. When this guy, oh my God, you know, what a year he had, and he just imploded game after game after game. So, I mean, there's multiple guys like that every year that you know, if you look at it by May, June, you're seeing a trend that this guy can't get anybody out. You know, that
and they continue. They continue to send them out there, and you get just the wrong manager. Like, you know, unfortunately, we don't have Ozzie Guillen to push around anymore. But I mean, he'll leave the guy out there at least 2 pitches too long. You know, it's just, oh man, it's like,
I know you're yelling at the TV and you're like, pull out, get him
out of there! What are you doing? My wife, they can't hear you. I always say, and this is my other one that I always say when I'm watching baseball, why do they always do that? It's like, why do they always do that? It's like, why? And they suck me in every time. It's like,
oh yeah.
It's like, Noah Syndergaard looks like a good bet in this spot. It's like, unfortunately, when the 8th inning rolls around, he's not in there.
Oh.
Man, brutal. Just absolutely brutal.
Right.
And a baseball game is 9 innings. or longer.
Oh, it can
After
go on.
4, your team's up 6-1. Don't. Yeah, I'm a winner. I've seen lots of comebacks. I've seen lots of comebacks. A lead is never safe. And we've seen a few last year. The Mets blew how many last year? Jeez, ninth inning. Up by 4. Up by.
So, Chris, where do you go from here? What else would you like to have?
I could have wanted the more.
You're like.
I go to one of the more I think it's overlooked and underused strategies for totals in the early season. I go towards umpire trends. I mean, we got to face facts. There's still a human element at play here, and I know the bias, but the truth is that they don't call every game the same, and we still get umpires with like a tighter strike zone that's usually going to favor more walks and more offense. Or you got umpires with a wider strike zone and more strikeouts, so you tend to see a lower scoring game. And a lot of times you'll find trends on these pitchers and teams' records when the umpires doing a certain game with a certain pitcher. Sometimes that could be the difference in a game that's a coin flip, whether it's on the side or on the total.
I'm with you on that one, man. We saw this with Jake Arrieta a few years ago. He was in Baltimore. He was the king of the long ball. I mean, got absolutely crushed. They gave him about an extra 6 inches on the low side in Chicago, and he won like 25 games in a row. It was like, and finally, I think it was against the Pirates where the manager just came out and said, if you're going to give him that pitch, I'm taking my team off the field because we can't win. He's like, if you're going to continue to give him that, we can't win. And that's really the difference in baseball is, a couple inches here and there with these pitchers. I mean, they could. One of my favorite comments, I don't remember what pitcher was, Steve might know, but one of the reporters was saying the law of physics says that you can't make a baseball curve when you throw it. And he said, why don't you stand behind that telephone pole and see if I can peg you? See if I can hit you. The guy was absolutely no way.
That's right.
But I think umpires, absolutely, and sometimes the umpire has it in for somebody. It's like it's surprising, like how few times, like if you go through it, like this guy's behind the plate against this team, so it could be from 2 years ago that he's holding it against them. It's because there's the rotation of the umpires, and then there's the rotation of the umpiring crews. So there's like all these rotations going on. So it could be 2 years before he's behind the plate again. And it's like, I know in Chicago, the Hawk really, had it in for a couple of those guys. It was just like, he's holding it back from, and he knew every detail of the argument, like the stuff you would never know. It's like his daughter got stood up at prom by his son. It was like he knew everything. It was like Steve Smith for the Ravens, when he was wide receiver. It's like he knew everything. It's like throw it right in their face.
Right.
Steve, what else you got for us here?
Again, we're talking like early baseball. So again, offense, right? So like I said earlier, I think weather, like West Coast teams coming to play East and that type of thing. But, they're all feeling each other out, getting warmed up. And, so, you just look at trends, and look up lineups that, that can score a lot of runs. I mean, the Red Sox, not last year, but the year, a couple of years ago, I mean, they were scoring runs like crazy, So, when the Red Sox played, Cashner wasn't on the team by then, but, it felt good that, the Red Sox, no matter what the score was during the game, is they're going to, score 8-9 runs, a lot. And so that's another factor.
Sure.
The bench too, role players on a team. I think factor in a little bit too, and I mean, there's a lot,
Of course, no. That's why we're going around the horn. This is going to be, this isn't a one and done show. This is a study of a lifetime. It's like we're just going to do these shows. We're going to cover a bunch of different sports. We're just going to keep doing it because I get these questions all the time. I get them all the time, and these are the ones that I think people care about. But it's not the type of thing that during the regular season people are going to watch. My Celtics versus Lakers pick. They're not going to watch, how to handicap baseball. But now it's like we have time. We can create basically a reference library here at Pick Dogs and Sports Chat for these type of things, and we can refer people back to them. I can watch them myself because sometimes I need to be reminded, what the hell did I do betting on the Mets again? Anyways, one of the things that I do is on the starting pitching side, and Chris and Steve both mentioned the starting pitchers, plenty here. Rod and I think, are less starting pitcher based people, and that's just how I am. But I think that for me, when I am looking at starting pitchers, I always like the guys that get called up or that no one's ever heard of, and I'm also really, really in tune with the value guys. Normally, the value guys come in on a team that's not playing well, a team that's under the radar. And he just comes in, and every day he's like minus 130, even when he's rolling. And when he's not rolling, and before he even hits the map, he's plus 150. So, a couple of guys I wrote down over the years that we have found both those things to be true with, and of course, later on they got discovered. The first one was Tim Lincecum. He was a cash machine. I mean, he came in, he won the Cy Young Award. He was like 106 pounds soaking wet, and like no one would touch this guy. But I think that entire season that he had, that monster season, was like 7 years ago or something for the Giants. They won the World Series, right? I think that entire season he was never more than minus 140. Never. And a lot of times he was even money. 2 years ago, our guy was Blake Snell. We rode Blake Snell into the ground on my live shows and on our videos. Where Rod's like, yeah, I love me some Blake Snell, man. It's like last year. Okay, so here's the other side of this. Okay, so Blake Snell's kind of our guy, and Lincecum also on both of these accounts where they were our guy. We got them on the cheap. They signed the contract, and they stunk it up from there on in. So Blake Snell, he didn't stink. He was not nearly as effective. Also, the other thing that you have to take into account, maybe I should wait till it's my turn again, but I'm kind of on this pitching thing, and I don't talk a ton of starting pitching. There's also the call-up guys. I'm like the king of the call-up guys, and I do it on the live shows all the time. People are like, I had no idea Denilson Lamet could throw 600 miles an hour. It's like, yeah, because he plays for the something Chihuahuas, right? It's like comes in, it's like, everyone else is like, oh, I'm not betting on a first-time starter out there. Meanwhile, 16 strikeouts later, it's like we got ourselves a force here. And De Leon was our guy. Ponce De Leon was our guy for St. Louis. Remember when he came in and lit him up? With another big strikeout game as well. And then, in typical Cardinals fashion, it's like they didn't pitch him for another 3 weeks, right? It's like he's too young. He can only throw every 3 weeks or so. And he's going to be good, and he's a guy to watch. And Alex Young was another guy last year where it was kind of like, so this was another thing on the call-ups that you have to watch for, is that when they come out of the Pacific Coast League, the numbers are inflated dramatically. The Pacific Coast League is a hitter's league. So a guy with like a 5.4 ERA in the Pacific Coast League, it's really not that bad. It's more like a 3.2 in anything else. So a guy like Alex Young was proof of that last year when they brought him up. I think he had a 5.5 in the Pacific Coast, and I think he won like 6 or 7 games for a not very good Diamondbacks team. So, other guys, even though there might be, and then you have the known commodity to us call-up guys, not so known commodity to everybody else. And that was Jose Barrios when he beat Dallas Keuchel in his debut from an Astros team that went on to win the World Series. But Barrios wasn't going to back down for a second. And most people are like, who is this guy? Well, he was only the 8th or 4th overall pick in the draft or something. It was no mystery that he was going to be good, but we still got plus 220 on him on the win. Anyways, Rod, anything else you want to add here? Just kind of our kickoff betting strategy shows. I kind of like this. I'm enjoying this.
For me, there's stats and numbers out here you can get for pitchers that are making you money and pitchers that are losing you money. And then they've done it. They compile these stats all over.
I think the secret on that one is to take the pitcher that's losing you money and turn him into a pitcher that's making you money by betting against them every single time. And we have our list. We have our automatics. We call them our automatic list. And Cashner is always number one on that list for us. I love Cashner because the beauty of the Cashner game isn't that you just especially on Boston where you get great odds on them to bet against them. He's also a solid over. Right? It's like, it's like you can go over he might only last 4 innings, but it could be 9 really hard hit home runs, I mean,
he pitched 23 games last year, and he's a plus 834 for your money, and his ERA is 4.74. So yeah.
I mean, and I'll tell you what. That 4.74 is probably a little dressed up because probably some relievers probably stopped the bleeding at some point on him, or he had, maybe threw into a double play or something. Because, I mean, Cashner's fully capable of a 6.5.
Yeah, he's 8th on the list from last year.
It's like,
Strasburg, of course, was number 1. He was just Strasburg's pitching bad.
How about Drew Pomerantz? And here's a guy, it's like he always injures himself, so you can't bet against him anymore. It's like, I just love betting against Drew Pomerantz and Liam Hendricks. I mean, here too. I mean, what's Liam Hendricks' career line? I mean, I know he had some big years, and I mean big.
For me, baseball is a sport you need to do the homework and look at some stats and numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also like any other game. It's a game of matchups, like we had a few years ago where the Dodgers couldn't hit lefties, right? So it was just any lefty you wheeled out against them. And then all of a sudden now they can pound lefties, right? And then a few years ago, Clayton Kershaw couldn't lose a game. Now it's like, you could probably get some good value betting against Clayton Kershaw. And I think finding those teams and. It goes back to, your original, road dogs and my original, I like small market, too, against big market is another thing that I like. That's why.
Yeah, I like the quiet teams. Yeah, I don't want to bet. Like I bet the Yankees Boston. I don't think I have bet very few Boston games last year.
I think I took them a handful of times. And I'll tell you, when I never take him is when Eduardo Rodriguez is pitching either, because he's a guy that's got the world of potential. Yeah, that's another death word, right? Death in baseball. He's got a lot of potential. Yeah, he's got a lot of potential. It's kind of like going to poker school, right? at Caesars or something. It's like. Yeah, I'm going to poker school at the Bellagio. Yeah. Enjoy yourself. He's got a world of potential. So Charlie M likes picking totals, low totals, on when it's unders. Like picking unders on low totals. I think it depends. I don't know what the numbers are on something like that.
But that's like Jacob deGrom, like the other, last year, the year before. I mean, 2-1 games. You know this guy was just, unhittable, and he won losing, games that you just scratch your head. But the point is, you kind of knew going in it's going to be 2-1 and 1-0 or whatever. So, so it depends on, like we talked about, what factors in at that season given moment, trend, whatever. So.
I think another thing that I like to look at, and I'm kind of starting to hog the conversation here, so I'll back off if anyone else wants to talk. But I think that the hot streaks and cold streaks of the non-premier names, guys play to the back of their baseball card most of the time. So a pitcher that's like on a tear, it will end, and it will end abruptly, and it will usually end ugly. So like last year when Ryu was going, and it's like, I mean, Ryu is not a Verlander. He's not a, I personally think that Jarrett Cole is one of those guys too, because Jarrett Cole's always been one of those guys for me that's like, he's a good 6-inning pitcher, but he has full potential for one of those 6 innings to be just a disaster. And it just seems he always has like that really bad series where it's like he'll walk a guy will get on like an odd type hit, and then he'll pay for it all, and then that might be all he gives up all game. So another factor that I also consider is the injury list, especially at the top of the rotation. So what happens is if the teams that have an injury at the top of the rotation, and say your injury is to, say your number one pitcher is, especially the teams with the lighter pitching staffs. Right now, okay, so Boston, right? So Chris Sale is gone for the season. And for it to happen before the season is actually the best time for it to happen. But, if he's your number one or two, then everybody else has to move up a slot. So now all of a sudden, instead of Chris Sale against Clayton Kershaw, it's, David Price against Kershaw, which is okay. But now you have, your next game up, it's, as it gets watered down, and then some teams lose their 1 and 2. It happens. And, also teams that where their 2 leaves, like when the Dodgers, when Greinke left, trying to fill that void. They're still trying to fill it, right? They're still trying. It's like they know Ryu. The Dodgers, from what I've heard, and I can't speak for the Dodgers. I know they don't love Ryu. They never really liked him because he smokes a lot. So they don't love the smoking in the clubhouse and the smoking, constantly. He's a chain smoker, which is, if you're Keith Hernandez and you got a career, 328 batting average or something, it works. But it's like, if you're one of the other guys, it doesn't necessarily, if you're Hyunjin Ryu, it doesn't necessarily pan out for you, So, I just think that there are guys out there that, we know this is, we kind of have to, they'll get hot, but we know that they're going to revert to form, and I think we got a whole list of those guys,
Yeah, that's true.
We keep a running list of them all season. We kind of keep tabs, and I might be ahead of the curve on a Ryu, to start losing. But when he loses, and like Rod was saying, taking those underdog, you'll get a nice dog price against him. It will pay off eventually. It's like, but you can't win them all. Then there are the guys that had the rougher season that are going to come back. So some guys I'm looking at last year, some guys that had over 4 ERAs that I think have the potential to really do something. It's Joey Lucchesi from San Diego. This guy is really good when he's on. Got Noah Syndergaard checked in at a 4.28. Wonder how many of those were inherited runners, though, that scored, from that bullpen. You have to watch out. I never understood bullpen ERA, and I never understood, why win-losses matter so much, for pitchers. But I don't understand why inherited runners directly count against the guy that left the guy on base when the guy's sole job is to get these guys from scoring, and he lets them in. Jeff Reardon type stuff.
Yeah, where the pitcher leaves a loaded and
yeah, Jeff Reardon allows 3 runs in. He gets nothing on his record except for allowing 1 hit, and it counts. He gets he came in with a 4-run or even a 5-run lead, which is not even a non-save situation. Now he's in a save situation. He gets the save. He gets everything. Nothing charged to his ERA, and he walks off smelling like a rose. Something about that just doesn't sit right with me,
Right.
and it makes it tougher to handicap these games. That's for sure. So I think that we covered a lot of ground here. We have some new names and new faces, new names in new places this season coming up. So I think that'll be some stuff that we'll have to go over as well. Madison Bumgarner in Arizona, I think is interesting. Here's a guy that, I mean, he's definitely carried the load for a bad team for a few years here. It was horrible that he was making like $7 million a year in San Francisco, which on the surface is a lot of money, but when 4 guys on your pitching staff are making more than triple what you're making, Johnny Cueto is making like 30. It's like, Madison Bumgarner, he deserved better. And I think there's some other guys out there too that we'll be watching. We'll definitely be watching, and we got them like Mike Fiers. So here's the guy that blew the whistle on the Astros. I mean, we've been talking. There's been a lot of talk about Astros players getting beamed, and I saw some guy playing a video game on ESPN showed this video clip, and he's just beating Astros players on the video game, the whole time. That's all he did is throw at the Astro players the entire game. I mean, how about Mike Fiers? What kind of treatment is he going to get for the rest of baseball? I mean, I remember when Ryan Braun came back from the suspension, he got pegged a lot in the back. A lot. I mean,
Yes, he did.
And I'll tell you, and people would high five the pitcher when they would get thrown out of the game for beating them. So
yeah,
should be interesting the treatment that Fiers gets too as the whistleblower. It's kind of like it's double edged because baseball's pretty tight,
Yep.
But all right, so I think we covered a lot of ground. I think that when I'm looking at these ERAs, and it's just tough to believe that Jeff Samardzija had the 21st best ERA in baseball last year. See, there's something to take note of. He wasn't really that far behind Strasburg.
no,
Really
not when it
wasn't.
comes to making money.
And there's Eduardo Rodriguez as Julio Teheran goes to the Angels, where he's not going to have to be the number 1 anymore. So here, guys, once again, that moving down in the rotation.
Yep.
A
He
lot.
was 7th on the list of making money last year. Rodriguez.
Teheran?
Rodriguez was 7th.
Eduardo?
Yep.
Yeah. See, I cashed on 0 of those.
Eduardo Rodriguez plus 879. There's a bunch. Like,
I bet you Sonny Gray was big money.
I think he
Gray
pitched
was
pretty.
outstanding last year, man.
I was just gonna say, but he was on the Yankees the year before, and he was god awful.
Yeah, and he was terrible on a couple teams, but last year he was fantastic.
He was.
2.88 ERA.
Yep.
Hyun-Jin Ryu. Oh, he's on the Blue Jays now.
Yeah.
yep.
Way to cash in.
4 years, $80 million.
Oh, man. Kyle Hendricks is 20th on this list. We're going to get some value betting against this guy. I love betting against Kyle Hendricks. It's like he's one of Kyle Hendricks. I can't help myself. I mean, he was 11-10, but those 10.
Brutal.
How many home runs did Kyle Hendricks give up? 50. Let's look at Kyle Hendricks' pitching around here. Oh, man. Kyle Hendricks. 32 walks, 19 dingers. It's nothing. Jared Cole gives up the long ball like no one's business. He gives up the most. They're going to be hating him in New York. They're going to hate his guts. Last year, my pick of the guy that was going to be the bust was Bryce Harper. This year, it's Jared Cole for me all the way. This guy gives up so many home runs. I mean, tape measure jobs. Like he throws extremely hard, and he gives up a lot of home runs. Like
going to give up a lot to the short porch in right field.
He gave up a ton. Him and Verlander both give up a lot of home runs, and it was like, I mean, Astros fans got a lot of souvenirs last year. Let's see, Jared Cole, 29 dingers and 48 walks. Like I said, those 48 walks, he paid for every one of them. You know, he pays every single time. Yeah, there's a lot of pitchers we'll have to go through. We have a lot of time, so we got a lot of guys to go through here. But I think that Walker Buehler, there was value betting against him late. He was good early, not as good late. But what you start to see from the younger pitchers. One of the things that you see from the younger pitchers is that at the beginning of the season they're fresh as a daisy, and then as the season goes on, that wear and tear of the 162 game season, they start to fall apart late. And we saw that from Barrios in his first few years, and last year he was actually able to hang on a little bit longer than normal. And he's kind of gone further. We'll have to see if Walker Buehler fits that. Dakota Hudson was another guy that kind of fell apart too.
Yep.
Chris, are you a Red Sox fan too, or just Bruins and
No, I'm a Blue Jays fan.
Blue Jays?
Blue Jays. We're in Canada. Well,
Yankees.
we got robbed. The Expos got robbed in baseball. They should have won the World Series. We got robbed that year. Oh God.
Yeah, this list actually only shows the top 50 that I'm looking at. So Andrew Kashner not on here. How about Marco Gonzalez? I mean, here's a guy that never made a lot of sense to me. Never made any. I mean, the guy throws like 35 miles an hour. It's like his top end speed is like 85. Top end. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Anyways, I enjoyed opening up the conversation here with the guys about baseball. Just a little recap. Rod says to avoid the home favorites early. The first 2 months of the season, 52% home favorites hit. So while you might, I know that some other sites, they count win-loss record. Of course, we never count that. We only count units here. And that will make you a lot of units. 48% winning percentage with dogs in baseball. More than gets it done. Chris said starting pitching, guys that can go deep into games. That's really what it's all about. Steve Monahan looking at the matchups, looking at the bench versus that bullpen especially. And for me, say it once, I'll say it a million times. The very, very best teams in baseball lose 62 times a year. The very best of the best. That means if you bet a team that's minus 200, like the Astros have been the last few years, every single game, and the Red Sox, you need to win to break even 120 games. To break even. So if you bet against the Astros every single game, even though they've had these great records, you've won money. They need to win 120 games to break even. And that is a tall order. I can't even tell you how many teams have won 120 games over the years.
I think the Red Sox got swept at the start of last year in Seattle, didn't they? I think they played their first game in Seattle. It was like everybody was like, they were like minus 400.
The Red Sox get swept. The Red Sox last year as minus 200 favorites got beat down more than any team I think in history. We were against them I think every single time that happened too. And that's why I didn't cash on any of those Rodriguez, but it's like That's fine. He was plus 870. Chris Sale was like minus 4,000. You know, it's like we more than made up for it on Chris Sale. Cashner, you know, God, now the guy's back. The guy they got from Tampa Bay. Oh, Eovaldi. I can't wait to bet against that guy. Chopping at the bit. Another guy gives up monster home runs. He throws the ball so hard, man. You get like a real hitter against him, like, you know,
Trout.
oh no, the guy that's going to get him is the guy on the Astros. What's his name? The four hitter on the Astros.
Correa.
What's his name?
Is it Carlos Correa?
No, it's they have the Astros have one guy that's like a hitter like that. What's his name?
Like Grandal or something?
No. It's like
It's
like Bob Smith or something. It's a generic name. That's why we can't think of it. The Astros. His name is. And I'm going to say this, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, he's 5-time MVP or something." Right? Let's see. This will be the matchup that we're waiting for. The Astros. It is
Alex Bregman.
Alex. That's it. That's the guy. That's my bet. Is that he takes Eovaldi out of the stadium onto the turnpike 3 times in one game. It'll be like Reggie Jack. It'll be like the Babe Ruth pointing. It's like batting practice. A guy that throws a hard fastball like that straight away to a hitter like that, it's called death. That I think that guy's the best hitter, like pure hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
You know, he's, you know, like the Astros or don't like him. I would say that he's probably the best pure hitter out there. Though.
Nah, Mike Trout's the best pure hitter in the game. Period. Not even close.
I don't know, man. It's Alex Bregman. 423 on base percentage, 41 home runs last year, 112 RBIs.
Good year. No doubt.
That's with 119 walks as well. Run in there. Caught stealing once. Yeah. Batted 296. This guy's perfect. It's like you take him, you put him at third base, you give him $30 million a year, and you just leave him. That's right. Like if Bryce Harper is worth $35 million, this guy's worth 36. Because I think you're going to get steadier numbers from him. You know, I just do. All right. On that note, let's look at Trout's numbers. I know Mike Trout has better numbers than him. I'm sure he does.
Trout gets hurt too. You know,
if you go by his numbers, yeah, then Trout is number one. If you go based on that number.
Yeah, we know Mike Trout is
400. Career slugging percentage is 573. Career batting average is over 300. Huh? Altuve is like right behind him.
Yeah, well, if Altuve and Bregman also know what pitches are coming, so they have a little bit.
That's right. If Jose's not wired up this year, it could be a problem.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes this year.
I honestly think that Bregman's swing is so good, though, it really isn't going to matter. It isn't. This guy just has a great swing. Altuve, I mean.
Does Mookie have a better year this year? He had an off year last year. Does he have a better year this year? I don't know.
Better.
The year he won the MVP, I predicted he would hit 200 on the show live. That was my prediction. He won the MVP. That goes down with when I had Marshall Faulk on my fantasy team, cut him, and he won the MVP. Same thing.
That happens.
It happens. Also, Chris Carpenter won the Cy Young Award. He had like a blistering spring training. I signed him on my fantasy team. This is why I don't play fantasy. I like did all my homework. I'm like, wow, Chris Carpenter looks great in spring training. It's like, and people are like, Carpenter, you gotta be kidding. It's like, no, he just looks really good. I signed Carpenter. It's like I pick Carpenter, and people are laughing at me. Like, all right, I end up cutting him. Wins the Cy Young Award. Yep. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
All right, man. I enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later. I think we can pick up with baseball. We can go to football, college football. We got a lot of ground to cover. Of course, college basketball and NBA, the absolute most difficult out there.
I thought we got lines out for college football.
For games?
Yeah.
Maybe
And
we'll
it
go
says
over a
on
few
the
of those
line,
tomorrow.
yeah, it says college. There's some college lines, and it says these games must be played in 2020, but they picked out a few big games, and I was like, what the?
Who do you throw out a couple? Throw out a
look.
couple quick ones for us. What the hell? We got about 5 minutes. What the hell? Throw some out, man.
Oh.
Scoop of chocolate, scoop of vanilla.
Here we got college football. We got 45 listed here. We got first one listed Navy at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's favored minus 14.5.
What's the date on that game?
Probably October.
August 29th.
All right, so it's the season opener. Is that in Ireland or is it in Notre Dame, or is it because when they play the season opener, Navy Notre Dame, it's sometimes in some weird place.
And it says venue might change. Venue might change. Game must be played in 2020 for action.
I'm going to guess that that's in a weird place because I don't like the date on that game. I don't like that Navy's going to have a new quarterback either.
I see Navy versus Notre Dame, so I'm guessing that it's probably a neutral.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a neutral site. Where's the neutral site? Is it like in Australia or is it in Philly? I mean, that's the difference here.
Yeah, they haven't named a venue yet for most of these.
They've named a venue. I'm going to find this one out. See, these are the things in college football you got to really, really watch out because they did play in Ireland.
It's in Ireland. It's in Ireland.
It is in Ireland. See, Notre Dame's going to have some kind of weird uniform, to bright green, maybe. Navy will have some camo. You won't even be able to see them. Secret the hidden.
And then Illinois, Nebraska's there in 2021.
Who is?
Illinois, Nebraska.
In Dublin?
Yeah.
Doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't.
Illinois, Nebraska, and Ireland. Aye, drinking the Guinness. But they have cheese, so they brought the cheese.
Throw out some more abroad for us. Throw out some other, because I think in that one you almost have to go Notre Dame because Navy's going to have a new quarterback. And
the next one is September 3rd. BYU at Utah. Utah's favored minus 5.5.
Okay, that's the holy war. You got to take the dog there. They call it the holy war. Utah BYU. That sounds like it's the Monday night game of that opening weekend. Let's take a look at the calendar here. What else we got?
Next one down, you got on the 5th of September, Alabama at USC.
September 3rd is a Thursday night. Alabama USC. Where is this one?
That would be Saturday. So
it's at Alabama.
At Tuscaloosa?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what's the line on that?
Minus 15.
No, the line.
Oh, minus 120.
I see minus 16.5.
For the Tide?
Oh.
Yeah.
I got minus 15.
Right? That's an interesting one.
I kind of like USC in the points there early. I think what we saw from USC last year is they were about 5 or 6 deep at quarterback. All these guys could play. They had NFL quality wide receivers. I don't know which of those guys are coming back. We'll have to know. We'll have to see. I'm not 100% sure, but they had like NFL wide receivers. And that just seems to be – I know that you can't give Saban that much time to prepare, but he's going to have to rebuild. And I didn't like that quarterback that they put in. I guess
Mac Jones. You don't like Mac Jones?
he's okay.
I mean, he's okay.
Not as good as any of the USC quarterbacks. Not good at any of them. What else we got?
I got Michigan, Washington on the 5th,
Washington.
and that's a pick'em game.
At Washington?
Yeah.
Okay.
Washington. All day.
And then
Is there a total on that one?
What's that, Chris?
Is there a total on that one? Because I think I like the under if it's reasonable.
Yeah, I kind of like the under there also.
No totals.
Michigan will new quarterback too. Right,
They have
Patterson.
no totals, no money lines out yet. Just the spreads.
Patterson's terrible.
Oh yeah, but
Stinks.
I think it might be Dylan McCaffrey, Christian's younger brother.
Kind of like the third Manning brother. All right.
Yeah.
What else we got? Chris, you have lines too here?
I have some of them. They might be a bit
Well,
outdated.
let's do two more and call it a day.
On September 12th, we got Tennessee at Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by a touchdown, -7.
I like Oklahoma in that one. I just don't like. We saw Tennessee improve over the course of the year last year, and they were certainly a better team. But we know Oklahoma at home can put up points really, really fast, and I don't know if Tennessee can go with them at this point. If they have the guys, maybe, but we just haven't seen the Tennessee offense be able to put up those kind of points. I mean, we're less than a year removed from that Tennessee-Mississippi State game, which, obviously has left a mark on my life. It's like that was, that's the type of game that, like, if you sit someone down who, swears by NFL football and you say, oh, you just got to watch college football, and you sit them down for that Tennessee-Mississippi State game, you just feel like an idiot, because it was just brutal. It was god-awful. I haven't seen Tennessee be able to. We know that Tennessee's traditionally going to get really good athletes. We just haven't seen them come together in kind of that. At the end of last season, they were playing well, no doubt about it. The Tennessee was finally putting it together. But this is a team that we've seen early in the season, lose to Appalachian State, lose to Georgia State. This is that team that we've seen. This is a team that had Alvin Kamara and couldn't, have him be a top 5 NFL draft choice, right? I mean, he's clearly one of the better players in the whole NFL, right? And it's like, but at Tennessee, he wasn't. I don't know.
Another one, same weekend, Ohio State at Oregon. Ohio State -6.5.
I like Oregon there at home. The outside. It's just a bad spot for Ohio State. Oregon's going to have a new QB, but my guess is he's going to be a gunslinger too, and they're going to have tons of speed. Ohio State will have a lot of guys back too, a lot of speed as well.
Yep.
Should be an interesting game, that one. But we've seen Ohio State in these early season games like that. Traditionally, while Ohio State has played soft schedule last year, traditionally they do play a name opponent at a conference, and it normally is a home and home. We saw them do it with Texas, Oklahoma, and further back against USC. They got rocked at USC. I remember that. So we saw Oregon. We saw Oregon go over the top against Utah, and over the top and over the top and over the top again on them. I don't know. That was with Herbert. My guess is they got a quarterback there. It seems that Oregon, with Cristobal there, they're going to recruit well. They have to. I think the kids see the Nike, they see the different thing. They definitely worked it.
Big early game matchup, September 19th, Georgia at Alabama. Alabama favored by a touchdown, -7.
Where's that one? Georgia at Alabama?
Yep.
So at least they play in the regular season this year.
Yep.
I haven't seen that in a while. The last time I remember them playing in the regular season was the blackout game at Georgia. And Alabama rocked them in that one.
It's Georgia new quarterback too coming in, and
Not worried about Kirby Smart's recruiting.
No, not at all.
It's more his coaching that bugs me than anything else. His recruiting is usually spot on. As a matter of fact, he over recruits. It's almost like I think Kirby Smart's recruiting is the equivalent to these people hoarding the toilet paper, right? It's like he's got way more than he needs, right? So eventually there's going to be a garage sale, right? And every year the Georgia players are leaving, right? The guys that aren't getting onto the field are basically leaving and getting re-recruited somewhere else. So he's getting the recruiting rankings based upon players that never play for Georgia. But oh man, I think that was Bama as well. I think Alabama's going to be tough with Saban there. I think that eventually they're going to regress. Like we saw this past season, and I think you'll see it even more. It's just tough to continue to reload. And it's not necessarily on the frontline starters where you see it. Traditionally, we haven't seen it there. It's always been in the depth. But Georgia not recruiting. I think Kirby Smart, as far as like top line, 1 through 50 recruits, Kirby Smart seems to have that down. Him and Dabo seem to have that really, really down pat. I think where Kirby Smart misses on recruiting, and I think Dabo, to a lesser extent, misses on recruiting. And I think maybe Dabo doesn't miss there because we see guys like Hunter Renfro, and other guys in there, is that it's those other guys that are actually going to be the difference makers, because of those top 50 guys, there's going to be misses in there. There's going to be guys that miss, that don't get it done. But it's those other guys, the guys where, nobody was really looking at this guy, Hunter Renfro, right? I mean, these are the guys that kind of make the difference for these college teams. Warren Sapp, these are the guys.
I think one more that we kind of missed on the same day as the Ohio State-Oregon game was Texas at LSU.
Rematch.
Yeah, LSU minus 6.5.
I don't know. We saw some good things out of Texas later in the season. And I think it's do or die year for Herman there. LSU obviously loses Joe Burrow, so we know one thing traditionally from LSU over the last 20-year plus is that we've seen, this is their second number 1 overall draft choice quarterback that they had. The last one was Jamarcus Russell. The odds of them stringing together 2 decent quarterbacks in back-to-back years is slim. So,
true.
I think Texas, this is do or die for Herman there. It's got to be. The expectation is high. It's not. He's not a discount coach. You got to win, but it's like, who are you going to get at this point? I kind of like Texas in that one because I'm going to guess the world's going to be on LSU.
Yeah.
If you like LSU, that might be the time to bet. It might be now.
Yeah, for sure, because they'll probably go up.
They'll probably go up. All right.
Yeah, because it's only minus 4.5.
Maybe tomorrow we'll go. Is there a lot more games there?
Oh, I go all the way to
all right, so tomorrow's show we'll just go college football games. We'll even recap these.
Those were just September's. We haven't even touched October, November, and then there's some in December already as well. So.
All right, so tomorrow will be college football early season lines. That'll be tomorrow's show. So join us then. Thank you guys for joining us. I'll see you guys later. If anyone's in Maui, let's go hit some golf balls. I'm tearing it up, man. I'm playing the best golf of my life right now. I just can't miss. I'll go out and shoot 81 today. After that, but it's like, man, it's like I dialed in. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.
Guys.